Today on Sugar Spun Run, we'll be making gingerbread cupcakes. Hey Sugar Spun Bakers, Sam here, and today I am so excited to be sharing another carefully tested, well-researched, and perfected recipe. This is a new and improved addition to my gingerbread cupcakes. I do have an older recipe on the blog. You'll still be able to find it on YouTube. I will link to the recipe in the description, but I was getting a couple complaints on that recipe. The muffins were kind of falling in on themselves a little bit. People wanted sturdier muffins that had nice domed tops. I went to work in the kitchen and I made that happen. I'm so excited to share this one with you. I absolutely love this recipe. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing you want to do is get your oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, in a large mixing bowl, we're going to combine 1 1/3 cups of all-purpose flour, a 1/2 cup of firmly packed dark brown sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then a whole bunch of spices. Let me see if I can remember exactly what we have here. We have 1 1/2 teaspoons of ground ginger, 1 1/2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. It's also a test on me being able to identify the spices. 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, that's that right there. 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. Yeah, that's cloves. Had to make sure I didn't get those last two mixed up. Now we're going to stir everything together so these ingredients are nicely combined. You want to make sure you break up that brown sugar. That is the only sugar we're using in today's recipe, at least the only traditional type of sugar. We're also going to be sweetening this recipe by using some molasses, which is a classic gingerbread flavor. We'll get to that in just a bit. All right, now we are going to add 1/3 cup of melted butter. This is unsalted butter. And 1/3 cup of a neutral cooking oil, which is typically either vegetable oil, or canola oil. Those of you who watch my videos regularly know I love to use a blend of butter and oil. And this is because butter gives a great flavor to the cupcakes, but it doesn't make it as moist as oil does. Oil makes cupcakes or cakes super nice and moist, but it doesn't have the same flavor as butter. So we split the difference and we have a nice moist and flavorful cupcake by using a bit of each. And we're just going to stir these ingredients together. I want to make sure all of that flour mixture is moistened by this butter and oil. It's going to be pretty stiff, pretty dry. This is normal, but we do want to make sure all of the flour is moistened. All right, now we are going to need our molasses, and you want to use an unsulphured molasses. It should say this right on the label. And this is 1/3 cup of molasses. Make sure I get all of that in here. Molasses really gives these cupcakes that distinct gingerbread flavor, along with the spices, of course. You really can't make gingerbread without molasses. Now I like to switch over to my electric mixer at this point. We're just going to stir everything together until the ingredients are nicely combined. You can see things are getting a little bit thinner here. The batter is a little bit less like a cookie dough once everything's mixed in here. All right, now we are going to need to add our eggs. So for today's recipe, we are going to be using 1 large egg, cracking that right in the bowl I used for my sugar. And we are also going to be using 1 large egg yolk. So you can save or discard the white from this egg, but don't add it to your cupcakes. This extra yolk here helps to make the cupcakes nice and tender. Next, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. We'll stir everything together again. All right, next up we are going to be adding 1/4 cup of very, very hot, preferably boiling water. We're going to carefully stir this in. Don't want to splash yourself. And the reason that we're using such hot water is because this is going to help bloom the spices and the flavor from the molasses and just give us a more flavorful cupcake. Now finally, we'll add our last ingredient, which is 1/3 cup of sour cream. Sour cream has sort of become like a secret weapon for me recently in my cakes. It adds so much flavor and so much moisture to them. Really have loved using it recently. All right, let's do a quick check of the batter. I want to make sure everything is nicely combined. We have a smooth, uniform mixture here. Sometimes the molasses has the tendency to stick to the bottom of the bowl. We don't want that to happen. So this looks nice and smooth. We can go ahead and portion it into our cupcake pan. Today's recipe makes 12 cupcakes. As you can see, I have lined my baking pan with paper liners. It's my preference. And we're just going to evenly divide the batter, filling each cupcake liner about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way full. I love using an ice cream scoop for this. It just makes portioning out the batter so much neater and easier. Now I'll take these over to our 350-degree Fahrenheit preheated oven, where they're going to bake in the center rack for about 18 to 19 minutes, or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean or with a few moist crumbs. When the cupcakes are finished baking, the tops should spring back if they're lightly touched, and a toothpick inserted in the center should come out clean or preferably with a few moist crumbs. After 10 or 15 minutes, we will carefully and gently remove the cupcakes from their baking pan and let them cool completely on the cooling rack before we decorate them with frosting. While the cupcakes are cooling, we can go ahead and prepare our frosting. Now you can use whatever frosting you'd like, but I like to do this cream cheese, slightly brown sugar flavored one. Really complements the cupcakes. We're going to start with 8 ounces of softened cream cheese, add a half cup of softened unsalted butter, 2 tablespoons of firmly packed light brown sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and generally I like to use a vanilla bean paste when I'm making this, or scrape out the inside of a vanilla bean, but if I don't have vanilla bean paste on hand, I will just use 1 1/4 teaspoons of vanilla extract. If you have the paste, use 1 1/2 teaspoons. The paste just gives like a nice extra color. We're also going to add just a pinch of salt. This is about a scant 1/8 teaspoon. Keeps things from being too sweet. Now use an electric mixer and we're going to cream everything together until it's smooth and lump free. Let's just pause for a second, scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl. This is looking pretty good, so now I can start adding my powdered sugar. We'll be using 3 1/2 cups of powdered sugar, but we're just going to gradually add this and stir it in with our mixer beginning on low speed. This helps keep us from making a huge mess and getting powdered sugar everywhere. All right, let's take a look at this. Again, scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl, make sure you got all of that powdered sugar mixed in. And this looks pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and transfer this to a piping bag. I fitted this one with an Ateco 846 tip. And then we can pipe it on our cupcakes. Once the cupcakes have cooled completely, we can go ahead and decorate them with our frosting. I love these tips. This is the 846, but the 848 is very similar because you can do those very generous piles of frosting on top, or you can just do simple rosettes. And this does make enough frosting to very generously frost all of the cupcakes. If you double this recipe, which you can, it doubles very well, and you like a more modest amount of frosting, you can get away with a single batch of frosting for a double batch of cupcakes. And that is how you make my new favorite gingerbread cupcakes. I really hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. If you are one of the people who commented and asked for these particular qualities in these gingerbread cupcakes, please leave me a comment and let me know what you think. I always love hearing from you. I want to hear from all of you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. You're gonna love these.